We knew it was a lofty goal to look at something like the transfiguration of Jesus and try to apply it to our lives today. But with many weeks of discussion, study, and contemplation, we have all come across a similar theme, being ourselves. According to the dictionary, transfiguration means revealing the true nature of something. The transfiguration of Jesus took place on a mountain with Jesus and 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John. Up on the mountain, the light of God shines on Jesus, and God calls him his son. Here's our scripture lesson for today, as presented by Chuck Knows Church.
The transfiguration of Jesus is described in all 3 synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Many consider it one of the miracles of Jesus, but different from the others, because it's not performed by Jesus, but it happens to him. Now, all 3 gospel accounts tell us that Jesus and 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, go up on a mountain where the transfiguration occurs. Jesus shines with bright rays of light, or as Matthew chapter 17, verse 2 describes it, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white, a phrase laundry detergent companies would later borrow. Now, it is this transfiguration, this miracle, that we remember on Transfiguration Sunday. So, when is Transfiguration Sunday, and why do we recognize this event in particular in the life of our church? Now, sounds like you are in the right place to find out, because we are talking about Transfiguration Sunday on this episode of Chuck Knows Church. In the Gospel according to Luke 9, verse 29, the appearance of his face changed. Then in Mark 9, verse 2, quote, "And his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them," unquote. And then there appeared to the disciples the Old Testament prophets Elijah and Moses talking with Jesus. Then, right just as they were leaving, Peter suggests building 3 dwellings for Jesus, Moses, and Elijah. Now, some theologians interpret this to mean Peter wants to keep the 3 of them together longer. But while Peter is saying this, a cloud overshadows them, and from the cloud a voice says, again, according to Matthew's Gospel, "This is my Son, the Beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." It is Jesus glorified. Now, going back down the mountain, Jesus orders Peter and James and John not to tell anyone what they've seen, according to both Mark and Matthew, until after the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. This confuses his disciples as they question what Jesus means. Now, of course, Jesus foreshadows the cross and his resurrection. Now, all 3 synoptic gospels relate very much the same story of the Transfiguration. It's widely considered a momentous event because it is a time in which human nature and God meet, the temporal and the eternal, with Jesus seen as the connection, like a bridge between heaven and earth. The Transfiguration is also a bridge between Jesus' public ministry and his passion. From the time of the Transfiguration, Jesus sets his sights on Jerusalem and the cross. We celebrate Transfiguration Sunday before the Passion so that we may give ourselves anew to the gospel at Easter, sharing the dying and the rising of Christ. Now, in the United Methodist Church, and for many Protestants, Transfiguration Sunday is the Sunday before Ash Wednesday, before Lent. If you would like to learn more about Transfiguration Sunday, be sure to ask your pastor. Tell them Chuck sent you.
So that was our scripture lesson for today. For the past several weeks, the youth have been breaking down what transfiguration actually means. And we decided that it was the first time that the disciples saw Jesus for who he truly was. So with the idea of mirrors in mind, we decided to focus on seeing ourselves for who we truly are. So, for this reason, in a moment, a few of the youth will be telling their own transfiguration moments to give you a better understanding of how we see transfiguration.
In 2012-2013, I went through Hillview's confirmation program. In the beginning, I thought it was boring because we just talked and talked and talked and covered a lot of information about what it meant to be a United Methodist. I had a difficult time paying attention and understanding what was going on. I tried as hard as I could to pay attention and understand the big words, but I still struggled. Confirmation was difficult, but totally worth it, and I would recommend it to anyone wanting to understand what it means to be a follower of Christ and a United Methodist. Even though it was difficult, I ended up loving it because of my awesome mentor, Sue Walsh. She helped me make the most of my confirmation experience and was the best at dealing with my attitude. Sue taught me to respect myself and other people and to be careful about the words I use. She would take me to lunch every once in a while to talk about what we were learning in class, about John Wesley and my good and bad days. One of my favorite things about confirmation was the retreat we had last January. We had a lot of stuff to learn, which wasn't the most fun, but I enjoyed the food and the fellowship with the other youth in the program and their mentors. We spent a part of the retreat writing an I believe statement, which was so difficult to do. I had problems concentrating on writing down what I believed and organizing my thoughts. In the end, I learned how to use my words to share what I believe and not just big church words. Going through confirmation taught me more about being a United Methodist and how I needed to be more involved in church. Since then, I have been more helpful in doing stuff in the church, in the background at Hillview, like setting up tables, volunteering with children's church, helping Sue and Maggie with music and more, and being as helpful as I can. I have also learned that I'm not going to be someone I'm not and will always be myself. All of these experiences have helped me grow in ways that I have never thought I would.
All right, I gotta fix this first. I'm a lot taller. Okay, hi, I'm Jane Marie, linguist, yeah. I'm gonna share with you my transfiguration moment. So the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year, my family and I moved from Texas to Idaho. And for me, that was really hard. I had to leave all my friends behind and the church I loved there, and I just really didn't know what to do. And when school started, I was lost. I had no friends. I mean, I was late to jazz band. I walk in, I'm the awkward kid with the tenor saxophone, like I don't know what to do. And as the year went on, I made some bad choices. I got into a bad relationship, and I was just friends with people I shouldn't have been friends with. And I was just lost, empty, and I felt nothing. By the end of my 8th grade year, I was listening to the radio, and this song called What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction came on. And it was like the first time I heard it, and I was like, hey, this is pretty catchy. It's from the tune of Summer Lovin' in Greece, but hey, it's pretty cool. And I started to watch all of their videos, and I thought, hey, that blonde kid with the Irish accent, he's pretty cute. He makes me happy. He puts a smile on my face every once in a while. And I started listening to their songs more and more, and I got a lot of, but Jane, they're just a boy band, and they don't even live here. I mean, they're British. And I was like, well, I don't care. I have a smile on my face. And I started to feel something. I felt this strength inside of me that I'd never felt before. I felt like I could conquer the world and nobody could bring me down. After a little bit after that, some bad things just started to happen. I was just down in my depression and being lost and empty again. And the summer before my 10th grade year, which is where I am now, I found another band called 5 Seconds to Summer, and they're an Australian rock band. They think they're punk rock, but they're really not. And I started to listen to their music, and I saw the drummer, and I was like, hey, that Australian kid with the curly hair, he's pretty cute. And he, again, makes me smile every once in a while. So I started listening to their music, and I just felt that strength in me build up, and I was like, I can conquer the world. And during my 10th grade year, when I was in band, I've recently dropped band, I was bullied by my section leader. And I would get things from even my band director of, Jane, you're not good enough. You can't play tuba. We don't want you here. They would plan parties that I knew about and wouldn't invite me. And I just got into this hole that I really didn't believe that I could get myself out of. And I started listening to One Direction again and 5 Seconds to Summer. And once again, that strength just built up in me. And I was like, you know what? I don't need those people. I'm fine with youth group and the 2 friends I have at school now and my best friend in Texas. I don't need you. And I really think that, just even though it's their bands, I really think that God put them in there as just a message of like, hey Jane Marie, you're stronger than you really are. And that's my transfiguration moment.
Hi, my name's Aaron Fretwell, and here's my transfiguration story. A couple of years ago, you could say I was off the path of my own life. You could also say I was lost and was in the dark without God in my life. I never went to church. You might say I was selfish because I didn't do all the things I did for people like I do now. I was so far off the path that I was okay with taking things from others. I guess I wasn't okay with it, but I did it and made it seem like I was okay with it. Every feeling in my body was telling me to give it all back and stop being this way. But the sad thing is, I didn't listen. After this awful act of me taking these things from these poor, innocent people, I got in trouble and got exactly what I deserved: disappointment, hatred, and many other things. But the hardest thing I had to deal with was looking at myself in the mirror, because what I did went against everything my parents taught me. Every day I woke up, I was waking up to a nightmare I made for myself. I could have just hid from it and laid in bed all day staring at the ceiling, hating myself. But I knew I would never forgive myself if I did. So I started coming to church, looking for anything that I could do to help anyone I possibly could. I wasn't doing it to try and redeem myself. It was so that I could at least try to forgive myself, even though others would not. And I don't blame them for not forgiving me. It would be a very difficult thing to do. While I was going to church, I was doing all these things that were helping people, but I didn't feel it was enough. I needed to be baptized so that I would have a fresh start to find who I really was, because what I was doing before definitely wasn't me. Who I am now is what the church helped me become, which is a hardworking, caring, and loving person. Without all of you, I don't know who I'd be now, and because of all of you, I've almost forgiven myself completely. And I want to thank you for that, because if I didn't have all of you, I would still be living in that nightmare that I used to wake up to every day.
These were just a few of our transfiguration moments, times in our lives that revealed who we really were. We hope this helped reveal to you who we really are. Please stand and join us in our last song.